Let's be honest, lots of Americans and people all around the world make bad financial decisions, living paycheck to paycheck, unable to get ahead. The uncomfortable truth is that a lot of it is self-inflicted. People go out and they buy dumb things and it destroys their financial future. So for today's video, we're going to discuss the dumbest things people spend money on that limits their potential and prevents them from getting rich. We're splitting this up into 4 tiers of mistakes that you can make, all the way from surface level to things that are just pure devastation. We're going to start with tier 1, and these are some surface level things that kind of seem small, but they really add up fast. These make people nod their heads and think like, yeah, I do that, but it's not that big of a deal, right? Well, I'm telling you, it could be. The first one, and this is a problem for lots of people that carries a price tag that is not just financial, is alcohol, smoking, vaping. When I was in college, I participated in lots of this nonsense, especially on the drinking side. I went to a party school and this was just pretty normal to go out and drink on weekends. One day I calculated how much I was spending per week on just going out, and it was like insane. It was thousands of dollars a year. Even a few drinks a week adds up super fast. It really is insane how much people fall into this lifestyle, especially in your early 20s. The average American spends about $100 a month on alcohol. If you vape or smoke, that adds significantly more. And this is detrimental to both your finances and your health. Like, you can have fun in your early 20s, like definitely go do fun things, but be safe. Don't go too crazy. Moderation is really key. And it's fine to have a drink now and then. Like, I like to smoke cigars to celebrate things, but you shouldn't be getting carried away with these things. So be careful on that. Next item, and this is one that's just a complete ripoff. This is food delivery. It's a convenience that doubles the cost. Like, I know people who are spending just way too much on this stuff. It enables you to be lazy, to sit around and not go outside. When I stay with family out in Florida, I ordered a burrito from Chipotle off of DoorDash. After the fees, the delivery, the tips, it was like $20 to $25 when I could have just gone to the store and gotten it for $10 or $11. So be careful on overspending on food in general, because you can really make stuff at home and it goes a long way. And if you're in a bad financial situation, you need to focus on doing that more. So unless you're just really truly busy to where you think it's worth your time, food delivery is mostly for lazy people if you're constantly doing it for no reason. The next item is flashy clothes. And I have breaking news. Nobody in your 20s gives a shit about your clothes. Like, this is just wasting money on status when nobody cares. I mean, you could go buy a fancy watch. You could buy a Rolex for 20 grand in your 20s, or you could use that to invest and turn it into 50,000, 100,000 in the long term. Like, appearances do matter, don't get me wrong, but you can do it for pretty cheap. Like, I buy most of my clothes at cheap stores, and you can buy stuff that looks good for not that much money. And most people who wear expensive name brands probably couldn't even distinguish them from fakes. They're just buying it for the image. I remember a story, one of my buddies bought a fake Rolex from China, and he would go out and he'd get so many compliments on it. Like, it's like nobody knows anything, right? Life's a game. Certain things just don't matter. Buying name brand clothing, especially if you don't have the finances for it, or even worse, you go into debt to buy these things, is objectively stupid. The next item, and this one, another one that seems small but adds up fast, is subscriptions. Like, these are small things that add up over time. The average American spends about $100 a month on subscriptions, basically just paying money to waste your own time. I have trouble with this one. I love watching shows on repeat. I love The Office. I love Breaking Bad. There's just so many things out there that you can buy and waste time on. So if you subscribe to something, make sure it's actually worth your time. Next, we're going to get into tier 2. And these are mistakes people know about, but they underestimate just how devastating they are. I always talk about the gap. Now, not the gap for buying clothes, but the gap between income and expenses. And you need to maximize this in your 20s. Lifestyle inflation is letting expenses rise too far as your income rises, and this eats away at the gap and limits your finances. So let's talk about some bigger ones. Probably one of the most common ones that I see for people in their 20s is buying too expensive of a car right away. There is no reason to go out and buy a $20,000 or $30,000 car when you get your first job. The average car payment in America makes my brain hurt. I think it's literally over $500 a month, which is just insane to me. I never had a car payment. I would save up. I'd buy a cheap used car with tens or hundreds of thousands of miles on it. This was usually in like a few $1,000s. Like, I think the car I have now was about $5,000, which I just paid cash for. But you can get a solid used car for $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 and be just fine. I mean, imagine what an extra $400 a month could do for your investments. Like, that makes a big difference over your lifetime. You should only buy a nice car when you're in a stable situation. And by that, I mean you have the ability to purchase the car upfront in cash if you had to. I just don't believe in going into debt for a car. I mean, I have the ability now personally to buy several nice cars in cash if I wanted to, but I don't, because I still just don't believe that I need to. I believe in driving a cheaper, reliable, safe car in your 20s and using the rest of your money for freedom units to buy stocks and stuff like that. Save the expensive car for later when you're in a better position. Another big mistake is buying a house either too soon or buying too much house outside of what you can afford. Now, houses oftentimes can be fine investments, but people usually underestimate the cost of home ownership. You also lock yourself into a lot of debt, and this limits your options as well, because you have to keep in mind some of these other things like taxes, maintenance, HOA fees, insurance, and stuff like that. When people say renting is like throwing money away, I kind of did the calculation on this. I was in my 20s and I was considering buying a condo, whether I should do that or rent. And there were times when I ran the numbers, and after taxes, HOA fees, insurance, maintenance, I usually came out ahead if I just invested the spare money I had into the stock market instead of buying property. There's still plenty of money being, quote, thrown away when you're buying a place, right? And thus far, the stock market's been fine. My decision has been right so far. So home ownership, in my mind, is overrated. You have to look in your situation. I personally like the flexibility. I like that I'm not responsible for anything home ownership wise. If something breaks, you just call someone to fix it. It's a good decision to buy a house, mostly if the area is growing and you're planning on staying there for a while, like at least 5 years or beyond. But don't put pressure on yourself like, oh, I have to own a home. So many people are just so thirsty to own a home, and you just don't need to do that. There are other ways to do it. You need to own something. Can be stocks, can be a business, but it doesn't have to be a home. So definitely look into this for your situation. It's also a huge mistake if people buy too much home, or if you just buy one before you're ready, before you have that ideal kind of 20% down payment to avoid having to get private mortgage insurance. So me personally, I'm not buying one for at least a few more years, and I'm totally okay with that decision. Another big mistake people make is not tracking their spending. So this goes along with lifestyle. A lot of people just blindly spend money, and they really have no idea how much money they're spending per month. Like, money leaks can go unnoticed. So you have to put together a budget, just a simple spreadsheet. I just use Google Sheets, and I track my monthly expenses, try to see where I average every month. And then if there's anything obvious, this is where you'll notice and you can cut accordingly. So the next tier 3, and this is where people can lose decades of compounding power with the decisions they make early on. And it's very sad when I see these things happen. So let's get into a few of these career and wealth building mistakes. Number one, I would say, is staying in jobs too long. So this one might be a little bit more controversial, but a lot of times switching jobs every few years is the best move if you purely want to get more money or advance in your career. And a lot of times too, you should switch out of a job if it's not making you happy or you're not learning. Studies show that this can advance your career faster than just staying in one company. Not always true, but in my case, I found that to be very true, where I would look into the job market and I could get a 20-30% raise by switching jobs as opposed to staying in the same company for 5 years to get that same raise. So sometimes it just didn't make sense. Another career and wealth failure that people have in America is failing to negotiate your salary. Specifically, one that I think a lot of people just don't realize they can ask for is sign-on bonuses. So a lot of people are happy with the salary they have. They get a job offer, and this depends heavily on the job market too, right? But if the job market is normal or even good in some cycles, you should be asking for a sign-on bonus. You should be negotiating your salary. And a lot of times companies, especially if they're big, they'll say yes, like just say, hey, I have to relocate. Could I get a bonus to just cover the cost of me relocating? And I've never been denied for that in the couple of jobs I've gotten. So make sure you're asking for more money. You're advocating for yourself, because if you don't advocate for yourself, nobody else will. Another big problem, sadly, in my country is that people get a bad degree, and many people overspend on college. They just don't make enough on the other side. A degree is an investment. Make sure you're getting a degree where you're going to have a good salary on the other side of it. Here's a quick screenshot of the highest ROI degrees in America, and you really need to reconsider alternatives if your degree doesn't yield a high income after graduating. I got a computer science degree, which at the time was a very high ROI degree, and I still think it's a great degree to have. And this got me a nice salary upon graduating to where it made sense for me to go to college. Another big mistake people make, even if they start their investing journey, is not using the tax benefits that are available to us. So people think, oh, I started investing. I opened a brokerage account and I'm good to go then, right? It's a good step, but you still have things you got to do. In my country and many others, taxes can eat away at your gains over your lifetime. And you're leaving free money on the table if you don't open some accounts. So in my 20s, I opened a Roth IRA for tax-free growth, opened a 401k to have some tax benefits on income coming in, an HSA for tax benefits on health expenses. And these are all going to help me keep more money in my pocket at the end of the day. So look into your options and see what you can come up with, but you can save hundreds of thousands over your lifetime by being smart with tax-advantaged accounts. I've also seen people transfer money into their Roth and then think that that's all you have to do. Like, you still have to invest it once you transfer money in. So not every plan does it automatically. Just another thing to keep in mind if you're opening these accounts. Another mistake people make is neglecting networking. So many people are always thinking about how much money they can make, how getting good grades in university, whatever, but they're not talking about the value of your network and relationships and just meeting people. Like, oftentimes relationships can make or break your career, and they can get you into great situations. I fully mean this, I would rather have $0 and a huge network of very connected people than have $500,000 and zero connections to anyone. Like, life is really about who you know, and if you have a great network, you can make a lot of money quickly. Not focusing on building relationships, both friendships, business relationships that pay dividends later, is a mistake. So what you got to do here is show up to things, introduce yourself, shake people's hands, plans, and put value on getting to know other humans, because you just never know where that's going to take you. It could get you jobs, relationships, opportunities, and more. It's gotten me a lot of clients, even jobs, and honestly, no matter what I'm doing, I try to go and meet people. And at my job, and even here on YouTube, I've been pretty active trying to meet creators here. That's just something I've committed to for most of my life, and it's been awesome. A couple other mistakes I'm going to mention is not getting insurance, like car insurance, good health insurance. You don't want one freak accident to wipe out years and years of your progress and life savings, so please make sure you're insured with the right things for your situation. Another one would be ignoring taxes entirely. Like, I'm sure not many people do this, but you're going to be facing penalties and legal risks by just ignoring taxes. Like, I know a few people who do this. Just please don't do that. Nobody likes paying taxes, but we have to do it. We still live in a society, so please pay your taxes. So the final tier, and these are just pure wealth destroyers, and honestly, like, these are pretty common and devastating. These are a little bit higher level, more philosophical, because it reveals a broken mindset, in my opinion. The big wealth destroyer, in my mind, the first one, is having a lottery ticket mindset. That being rich is something that happens fast and it's luck, and people try to get rich quick and often get tricked into losing their money doing stuff like crypto trading, just, stock trading, courses promising millions, buying a huge course of just some 20-year-old guy who doesn't know anything. Many guys have lost thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars on these things. There really are no shortcuts to becoming successful. You have to put in the work. It's all about making small progress each day, each week, and you just have to get out of this short-term mindset, guys. Don't fall for it. Another critical mistake with investing is not investing at all, or just waiting until you're older. Like, time is everything in investing. In the compound interest equation, time is the exponential part, and the earlier you start, the better. Cash loses its value over time. You have to put your money in other things, and I'd rather own percentages of companies instead, because over time, studies show that will win, and that will be one of the best decisions you can make. So it's just a huge wealth destroyer. It's just simply neglecting to invest money and ignore learning how money works, just thinking that it's risky and unsafe. And I have news for you. If you think investing is risky, just wait till they give you the bill for not investing. So please go learn about money, start getting it together, because you'll thank yourself later, so you don't wake up as a 40-year-old guy with no job and no life savings. Your 20s really do set the foundation for your life, so please avoid these traps. Even on an average income, you can become rich over time. But just if you fall for these, you might get stuck like most people, and you'll be broken just blaming society for your problems. I don't want that to happen to you. So that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.